What's up, everybody? It's your boy TGK back with another reaction video. Today we're going to react to Hoops Tonight with Jason Timpf. He talks about whether the Dallas Mavericks or the OKC Thunder are the team to beat. You already know how I like to say, enough for the fluff. Let's get to the stuff. Let's get this going, man. Again, Hoops Tonight, the title of the video are Luka Doncic and the Mavericks or SGA and the OKC Thunder, the team to beat in the West. So let's go ahead and get this started. I am going to be interested to see what the hell he says here. Again, it's always fun reacting to these videos because it's like, are you gonna go and support Luka for once? Not that we need him to, but it's just funny if he does or doesn't.
What would you take to win the Western Conference right now? The Dallas Mavericks or the Oklahoma City Thunder? Let's start with you, Logan.
Oh, that's so tough, man. Oh. I like both of these teams, and I think at full strength, I will take Oklahoma City. But it really is what you just said, Jason. It's hard not to feel burnt by Oklahoma City in these big moments with these young basketball players consistently. And you know what? I'll cut Shai Gilgeous-Alexander some slack because I think last year against Dallas, I don't think SGA got enough credit for how well he dealt with double teams and how well he playmaked out of those double teams. And the shot quality that he consistently generated, like the reality of that series was Oklahoma City's guys just couldn't hit shots. But it is proven. And I think Dallas matches up with a lot of teams out west. They definitely have two offensive guys that I trust more than Oklahoma City's top two. Their shooting is comparable or better when you factor in like Klay Thompson, and you know that those guys are going to generate a high shot quality around them. I trust Dallas's offense at a different level because they have Kyrie and Luka. I know that even if one of those guys runs cold, that Kyrie can go hot and serve buckets for a quarter or two, or Luka can turn it on in the fourth quarter and step on somebody's neck.
I'm like, sometimes when I listen to these videos and these takes, like maybe it's me, maybe because I'm no fluff. You know, I'm all stuff kind of guy, like straight to it, direct, and maybe it's bad for showmanship, right? Like if Jason Timpf, hey, who you taking? Bro, I'm taking the Dallas Mavericks. They just match up better. We have more size. Luka Doncic at full strength and full health. There's no one that's going to be better than him. You're already going to have the better player in the series and probably the better number two guy. And then you got PJ Washington, who always just dominates these little guards. Again, Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford match up well against what's his name? Damn, I don't forget. What is his name? Harkenstein and Holmgren. I just feel like the Mavericks would have been are the better team. Realistically, they already beat them in the playoffs. They got better over the offseason. They got Nigel Marshall. They're better. It's as simple as that, And maybe that's the wrong way to look at it, because then I would like to give OKC Thunder some credit. Like OKC is good, got SGA, potential MVP candidate, but they just don't got enough to beat the Mavs. I don't know. Y'all let me know. Maybe I'm wrong. But he started with he's doing what I'm doing. Damn, this is tough. Man, fuck it. Mavs are gonna beat the OKC Thunder in the West. The Mavericks are the team that beats at full strength. That's it. Let's continue.
And their defense is solid too. It's really close. And Oklahoma City, I thought, would have this. We'll see what they fully look like when Chet Holmgren gets back. I expected that we would see them building real distance between them and the number two team out west, and I don't really feel like there's a huge gap right now. Again, we'll see what they look like when Chet gets back, but I'll lean Oklahoma City because I know what I'm getting in this defense, and I do trust Shai, and I think Jalen will look better, and all those things will progress to the means. I think their supporting cast is a lot of good shooters. I think they'll shoot better. So I'll go Oklahoma City, but I'm not going to act like it's not close. I think Dallas is a real threat out west.
I mean, you can't go wrong with either one, to be honest with you. It's just, the thing is, Oklahoma City Thunder has so many guards and just little guys on their squad that you can scheme against that easily, especially when you have someone like a Luka Doncic. And then, the Mavericks beat them in the playoffs, and that does need to be factored in. And then the Mavericks did get better in the offseason. Yes, OKC got better as well with Harkenstein and Caruso. But I think if we're talking full strength, a fully strength, injury-free Luka Doncic, Luka beat the Thunder last year being hobbled. Imagine him fully healthy. It's just there's differences, man. There's differences to it. And the OKC Thunder were healthy all year. They were healthy in the playoffs, and they lost in 6. Right? Imagine what a healthy Luka could do. Let's see what the other guys got to say.
Before you go, Carson, I'm going to put you both on the spot real quick. Do you guys agree with me that Dallas is the clear number 2 in the West? You first, Logan.
No, I don't. I actually would
Whoa.
have Dallas, and it's really close between my top 3. We just had this on our show. I still had Denver number 2, and I'm still holding out hope that we get superstar Jamal Murray because it really is the final component. Denver's just been so damn inconsistent, and the non-Jokic minutes continue to kill them. But the best player in the world factors in for me there, and that's why Denver's number 2. But it's close between all 3 of these teams.
Man. Oh, man. Hold on. Let me see something. Hold on. Give me a second. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. The Mavericks are 18-10. The Thunder are 22-5. I would have respected if he said Memphis Grizzlies. I would have been like, damn, they are pretty good. They are pretty good. Houston Rockets 18-9. I don't know. I would have been like, nah, I don't know about Houston Rockets, bro. But like, Denver's right down here, right? And they have a 2.4 net rating, a plus net rating, right? And the Mavericks, for a decent chunk of this season, they have been without Luka Doncic, and we have a 5.9. I don't know. I don't know if it's me, but I just would have not said that the Denver Nuggets are the number 2 team in the West. That's a hot take. Hey, and sometimes that's what you got to do in this line of business. A hot take.
Go ahead, Carson.
I have Dallas number 2. I would have Denver number 3. I think that ceiling is absolutely
Denver 3 as well.
Within Denver. It's just, Logan mentioned superstar Jamal Murray. Man, how about we get to good Jamal Murray? Because it's been so bad, and that is so key to them being the basketball team that I expected them to be, that we've seen them be before. And Dallas just has such good depth. They have such quality role players. They're a better defensive team, I think. Again, Denver has that ceiling because when Jamal is right, that starting 5 is a buzzsaw. And I think the bench has probably been better than you would have expected. And they can make a couple moves on the margins too. But right now, I would go Dallas.
Am I missing something? Like, no, I'm being genuinely curious and serious here. Am I missing something when it comes to the Denver Nuggets? What am I missing? I'm flabbergasted, I guess, or befuddled, bewildered. Like, you clearly, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. I don't know, man. It's just crazy. It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. Because, like, we're being told that Jokic has a horrible team, and this is why, he's MVP. And then on the whole nother spectrum, which salute to these guys, the fact that they're going out on a limb and saying Denver is 3. I did not expect to hear Denver is 3 from anybody, let alone Hoops Tonight. And I did. And I'm just kind of surprised to hear that. For any Nuggets fans, let me know in the comments, man. Like, what am I missing, bro? Why do I not see y'all as the top 3 seeds? You could make an argument for 4. Like, do I think they could beat Houston? Yeah, I think they could, right? But I don't know. And I know Jokic is amazing. He's probably the best player in the world. But just because of that, I'm not going to say you're the top 3 seed, right? I don't know. I don't know what I'm missing. Let's get back to it, though. Let's get back to it.
Yeah, I think Dallas's roster is just better. I like to put it simply. I just think they have more good basketball players. Luka too, is just starting to playing like Luka. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a version of this where they rip off a bunch of wins and start to look like one of the top teams. I do think that when the debate, that the Giannis Jokic debate is going to come up, I'm sure at some point here over the course of the next couple of days. And And I think that that's a debate that's worth having, although I think I still lean Jokic. We may even do that on this show. But like, to me, Luka was like kind of lagging behind that group. And I still believe that like he's got to demonstrate for a longer period of time that he's at that level. But like to me, the Dallas, when you factor in Luka, the upside for him, I think he probably will be a little better in this playoff run. I do think that they're the clear number 2. But let's go to Carson about a potential Oklahoma City versus Dallas Western Conference Finals. Who would you take at this point in time?
I do prefer the Thunder. And I thought that the head-to-head matchup that we saw between these teams was kind of illuminating and interesting. And I thought it provided a contrast to last year, because I do think there are several areas in which OKC is better. I trust them more. Number one, just the fact that OKC was able to actually dominate the offensive glass with Isaiah Hartenstein was big. And they've been almost an average rebounding team since iHart came into the lineup, which doesn't sound super impressive on its face, but 18th in rebound rate for the Thunder, considering what they've been. They were 30th before he debuted this season. That's big because Dallas convincingly won the offensive glass in their series last year. I think OKC is much better equipped to be on even ground there. OKC shot the ball really well in that NBA Cup game. And as we just saw against the Bucks, right, they're not going to be consistent there. If I had to guess, I would think they shoot better than they did against Dallas in the playoffs last year if we were to see a series rematch, because everybody outside of Shea was 30% from deep in that series. Like, we can talk about these guys being questionable shooters, but that's pretty bad. So I don't think you can consider that a home run improvement, but I'd probably expect on average some improvement from the shooting. And I do think J-Dub is better. And I do think Chet is significantly better. And that's where we have to see Chet back out there on the floor. And we have to see that he's healthy when he comes back from this injury, presuming that he does come back from this injury. Like, that is definitely a big swing factor in this. But I do think the supporting cast around Shea has improved. And I thought that Shea was excellent in that environment. And I also think we can talk about having questions about OKC's spot up shooting, their role players. Dallas's dudes are going to be tested in the same way, man, because we can talk about Dallas roaming off of questionable shooters with their bigs and loading up the paint and helping hard on Shea's drives. OKC is just going to blitz Luka and Kyrie outright, and they're going to test a PJ Washington making shots. They're going to test a Najee Marshall making shots. And I thought they executed that formula a good bit better in the NBA Cup game than they did last year. Now, they actually held Dallas to their lowest offensive rating of any Western Conference playoff series that Dallas played in. I think that gets a little bit lost. And that was with PJ Washington shooting way above his means. That was with Derrick Jones Jr. shooting above his means. Like, they have this ability to just take the ball out of Dallas's best players' hands, force other people to make decisions and make shots. And they are the fastest and the most aggressive defense maybe that I've ever seen. Like, some of the rotations, there were a couple plays where Luka literally made a perfect play, right? They're blitzing him. He's under pressure. He jumps up, fires a skip pass 50 feet cross court. I mean, when you consider the diagonal of it, on a line, right into the shooter's pocket. And Lou Dort is just flying in from 30 feet away, and he's there when the shooter catches the ball. And he's either going to contest it really well or he's going to run them off the line. Like, they're so fast. They're so aggressive. They're so locked in defensively. Like Logan said, that's what makes OKC special. They're number one right now in terms of relative defensive rating. Their defensive rating compared to the league average that we've seen since the 1960s Celtics. They're number one this century in steals per game, number one in turnovers forced per game. They're number one this year in loose balls.
Man, I'm waiting for him to stop so I can share my thoughts. Let's get to it, man. No,
recovered per game.
They're
the best rim defense this year statistically without Chet, because they have so much collective rim protection. They're so good in terms of helping. Like, they're number one in field goals made at the rim allowed and field goal percentage at the rim allowed. So I just think that gives them such a special floor, and I have more faith in their key offensive components. More faith in J-Dub, more faith in Chet, more faith marginally in this shooting, and I think that's what swings it. And Hartenstein is so good. I don't want to sell short that he does make them more serious on the glass. Just makes them a better basketball team all around. I mean, in the Bucks game, Hartenstein was basically their best source of offense because he was efficient with his push shots and he was really good on the offensive glass. I do think this OKC team is more grown up. I know that this isn't the best time to say it after that Bucks performance, but maybe that is, because I'll get in low on the stock, relatively low. They're 20-5 with the best net rating in basketball without their second best player and people are acting like the sky is falling. I'm still going to bet on that team in the West. I think they're too immensely talented, too great defensively specifically.
That was a lot of fluff there. Like sometimes I really wonder. I question my own basketball knowledge sometimes. It's like, what am I not seeing? Like the Bucks with just Giannis dominated. They had no answer for Giannis. You blitzed him, you doubled him, didn't matter. You were gonna get beat. When he said they're gonna test PJ Washington and Najee Marshall to shoot threes, I would ask him to check out the Mavericks shooting percentages over the last 16, 17 games. They've been extremely consistent once they finally got going, right? Once they finally started getting on their win streaks. I would tell them to just double check that. Like, is that who you want to test? To just take wide open shots, especially PJ Washington against this team. Oklahoma City Thunder is a great team, but to say that you trust them more against a team and against Luka Doncic, who's made the last 2 out of 3 Western Conference finals, against a team that has beat the Oklahoma City Thunder in the playoffs, against a team that didn't have the shooters they had last year, that have the shooters now this year, and that have more ball handlers, more playmakers on the team. I think they're just sleeping so badly on what the Dallas Mavericks are. And that's totally fine. You can sleep on us. That's great. Cool. But to completely and utterly just, he didn't even mention the Mavericks. It was just all OKC, right? And I get it. Harkenson's great. Holmgren is great. And I am looking forward to see what Holmgren looks like when he gets back. He is going to be a big piece for them. But I think sleeping on what Luka Doncic is capable of just because you blitz him, brother, I tell you that that I have an inkling feeling that the Mavericks are more concerned about having days off versus winning that NBA Cup game. They ended up having 9 days off with 1 game in between. I think Jason Kidd, knowing how he is, he's one of these weirdos with his mentality of the game. He was like, let me lose this game so I get my guys some rest. And you go back at that game and you just see that the Mavericks were really into it. The effort wasn't there. Luka was throwing these long passes that were not as well as he normally passes them. And yeah, anybody was going to cut those off because, that's the game plan. That's the scouting report. But when you're throwing up several full court passes like Luka Doncic was, that was just kind of lazy on our behalf. So I wouldn't go too crazy over that Cup game. I would just wait till the next game that we have where we're fully healthy, because the first game we played them, we didn't even have Luka and we still won. The second game we played them, it was one of those games where it didn't seem like the Mavericks were interested. So let's see this next game whenever both teams are fully healthy, hopefully, and then we could judge more appropriately. But to say you trust the team that lost to the team last year in the playoffs more and in convincing fashion the way you laid it out, that's kind of crazy. Let's continue.
So I don't want this to come off as like Oklahoma City pessimism, because it's not. I think that they still have an extremely good chance to win the conference. I think they have a pretty solid chance to win the title, although I wouldn't pick them over Boston. I do think that a Western Conference Finals series between Dallas and Oklahoma City would be very long and very close. I think it would be like a determined in clutch time of Game 6 or Game 7, just like last year's was. That said, and again, I reserve the right to change my mind as we get closer to the postseason and we get more opportunity to see both of these teams in the big picture. But I lean very slightly towards Dallas at this point.
What? Hold on. I don't know. I won't ever play sound effects, but what? Someone sound the alarm. What? Jason Temp leans Dallas? This is interesting. I'm actually looking forward to see how he labels this, right? Let's see what he says.
And it really just comes down to like Dallas got exposed in the Boston series for the exact same kind of problem that Oklahoma City got exposed for in the Western Conference Finals, in the sense that or I should say the Western Conference semifinals, just in the sense that like Boston basically started daring guys to knock down shots specifically above the break. Mm-hmm. And there were kind of like 2 material changes in Dallas's roster this offseason. I talked about it right after the Boston series. I was like, I bet you PJ Washington just spends the entire summer just working on kind of like pick and pop or movement threes that are above the break, just like kind of quickly getting his feet set in knocking down threes above the break because it was such a big problem in the Boston series. He's shooting damn near 50% on above the break threes this year. Like he's really, really stroking that ball from outside of the corners in a different way than he was last year. Whereas with the additions of Quentin Grimes and Klay Thompson, they have additional options that they can go to at the point of attack, depending on the matchup, or they can get even more quality above the break shooting. So like Dallas's shooting is a lot more resilient this year than it was last year. In fact, as a team, they're about a point and a half or 1.5% ish better above the break than they were last year, which is actually fourth in the entire NBA. They're shooting the ball really, really well from out there.
And if you look at the last like 15, 16 games, we literally have about 8 to 9 players shooting almost 40% from three. It's insane right now what the Mavericks are doing and how they're playing and how efficient they've been. It's insane. Like you get games where Quentin Grimes wins you a game against the Clippers. You get games where PJ Washington wins you a game against the Thunder. You get games where Najee Marshall gets you a win against, who was it? Can we say the Nuggets? The Nuggets, I think. Like, this team is actually literally insane, and Luka Doncic has been in and out of the lineup due to injury. So, again, I don't think the Mavericks are getting enough credit for what they have done without Luka for a decent amount of time this season. And imagine what they're able to do once Luka is back. When Luka was back, you saw what they did to the Warriors. This team is actually out of their mind. You know what I'm saying? So, this is going to be fun, though. I actually do hope the Thunder and the Mavericks are in the Western Conference Finals. That would be must-see pay-per-view TV. Ladies and gentlemen,
Luka was a little bulky and a little knocked up when he was in the postseason last year. I think that there's a version of this where they get there a little bit healthier. There's a continuity factor. Derek Lively, I think, is a better player this year than he was last year. I think Oklahoma City as a unit has gotten better compared to last year for obvious reasons, skill additions, also some internal improvement. But I also think that the Mavericks have gotten a little bit better. And then, you know, when I just start to think about like potentially a really intense, 6-7 game series in the conference finals, I do tend to lean a little bit more towards the experience. And so again, razor thin margin, but I would take Dallas just barely over Oklahoma City at this point. And again, I reserve the right to change my mind when we get closer. It's just, dude, like I've just seen too many examples of this. This was Boston in 2022. Where it's like all year long, you're like, I'm just not sure they have the offensive process that they need to get this thing done. And then, maybe it shines through because, by the way, what was amazing about that 2022 Boston team? How did they beat everybody? Their defense. Yeah. It was their defense. They killed everybody with their defense. And then what ended up happening is they got into a big spot and their offense completely crumbled and ended up becoming a problem. And so, like, again, it's just where I'm at this specific point in time.
That was pretty dope. That was actually a really cool conversation. I don't know who Nerd Sesh is, but them dudes know basketball as well, man. Salute to everybody. Again, I always say Jason Tim knows his ball. I always gave him credit for knowing ball. But my issue was always like, you're just overlooking Luka Doncic and the Mavericks. Like, sometimes he would just say things that was like to the point where I'm like, dang, you don't even think that Luka's good at all to be able to, do something in the playoffs. Like, I think he had us losing a couple of the series last year. So, but yeah, man, that was a great video, actually. Great basketball conversation. Great little debates there. But the thing that I took away the most is people think Denver is third right now. That is wild. I need to see Denver move up the ranks and play a lot better, play more consistently, especially when Jokic talking about taking money away from players whenever they don't play bad. Like, that's not a top 3 seed right now. Anyway, been your boy TGK. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the video. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it. Please consider subscribing to the channel, leaving a like on this video. Consider becoming a member. It's been your boy TGK, and we are out, ladies and gentlemen. Adios.